Okay, good afternoon. This is Roger Erickson with the National Weather Service with our winter weather update for 2:30 p.m. on Monday, January 27th. I've muted everyone's phone line right now. We'll unmute it at the end for any questions that people have. The opening slide that we got here is the snow and ice accumulation graphics that we're expecting over the next 24, 36 hours. Picture on the left is a snow graphic that indicates between 1 to 2 inches of snow basically for the I-10 corridor down to the coast, and 2 to 3 inches of snow up in East Texas and central Louisiana. On the picture on the top right is the total ice accumulation. You notice the totals there are very low for East Texas and central Louisiana, less than 1/10 of an inch, whereas southeast Texas and southwest Louisiana are on the order of 1/4 of an inch, which would be very similar to what we saw last week. And then over in south central Louisiana, closer to 1/3 of an inch. That's much more significant than what we saw last week. In fact, when you're looking at criteria for ice storms and stuff like that, the scenario that we got setting up right now for south central Louisiana is on the order of a significant ice storm with extended power outages. So that's something for a heads up for people, I would say, in Acadia, Lafayette, St. Martin, Vermilion, Iberia, St. Mary parishes. That's the area, maybe even parts of eastern Cameron, for possibilities of an extended outages due to significant ice totals. One of the problems associated with this ice totals is we're also advertising wind speeds on the order of 20 miles an hour or stronger during the daytime hours tomorrow, which will cause any problems where the ice that's accumulating on the trees and power lines, when the wind blows through that, make them very heavy, easier to pull them all down. So that's what we got the story there. Talking with Lance, our lead forecaster today, he will be upgrading the watch, winter storm watch, to a winter storm warning. It will be going into effect for later on tonight, probably around midnight, and extending through the early hours on Wednesday. The timing of everything's kind of switched a little bit. This is the latest information that we've got putting together here. The top left picture shows the chance of precipitation between midnight and 6 a.m. Late tonight, and you can see we're now going for basically, give or take, a 30% chance of precipitation. For East Texas and central Louisiana, during this time frame, that will be freezing rain. For the I-10 corridor, it should still be holding out as just rain. So for the midnight to 6 a.m. time frame, freezing rain to the north, rain to the south. Now for that 6 a.m. to noon period, the rain chances, or precipitation chances, I should say, are now bumped up to 60%. So this is when things will be starting to get going pretty good during the morning hours tomorrow. So a little bit earlier than what we were saying earlier this morning. The transitions are going to be a little bit different. Up in the north, we expect that freezing rain to be transitioning to sleet and eventually snow, whereas for the I-10 corridor, it's going to transition from the rain to freezing rain and sleet. During the afternoon hours, we bumped up the rain chance or precipitation chances as well. 60% up in East Texas and central Louisiana, 80% for the I-10 corridor. Once again, transitioning type weather conditions here. East Texas and central Louisiana, we expect this to be all snow during the afternoon on Tuesday, whereas the I-10 corridor for southeast Texas and southwest Louisiana will be a shift from sleet and freezing rain, and eventually to snow perhaps by late in the afternoon, whereas the scenario for south central Louisiana, a longer extended period of freezing rain and perhaps some sleet mixed in eventually. By the evening hours between 6 p.m. and midnight, you notice that the probability of precipitation drops off to around 20% to the north and around 30 to 40% to the south. We're expecting anything that's left over at that time frame to be switching to just all snow up to the north and a mix of snow, sleet, and freezing rain along and south of the I-10 corridor. So it's one of these situations where it's going to be a mixed precipitation event across the region at different times of the day tomorrow. Finally, on early Wednesday morning hours, you can see between midnight and 6 a.m. Wednesday, we are ending the precipitation for East Texas and parts of central Louisiana. The leftover precipitation early Wednesday morning is expected to be all snow wherever it's still falling. And then after 6 o'clock in the morning Wednesday, we expect this precip to be all over with. Now here's a couple slides indicating the temperature time frames what we're looking at. On the left, we got the morning low temperatures for tomorrow morning and Tuesday. You can see we're advertising temperatures in the upper 20s. If you look real closely, you notice a graphic on the right for the afternoon highs. Looks like the exact same graphic. So Lance believes that the temperatures are going to have very little change in it during the daytime hours tomorrow. You know, perhaps it may bump up a degree or two off of the morning low, but not showing any appreciable change in the temperature tomorrow during the day. However, for Wednesday morning, a little bit different story. We are expecting some cold air advection coming in Wednesday morning, so the temperatures will be getting down, we believe, 20 degrees or colder across much of the area for Wednesday morning. In other words, a hard freeze type of event for Wednesday morning. Because it's starting out that cold, it's going to be difficult to melt any precipitation dependent on the temperatures. Right now, Lance has bumped up the temperatures to the upper 30s to near 40. But that's very dependent on what the sky cover is going to be like, if the sun comes out. If the sun comes out, these temperatures are a reasonable guess. If the sun does not come out and it stays cloudy, more than likely it's going to hold closer to the freezing mark during the day on Wednesday. So that's kind of the question mark for the end of this event, how quickly the precipitation is going to melt. If this verifies and we end up near 40, we may be fortunate enough to melt a lot of it during the day Wednesday. But if it ends up staying cloudy and cooler, then it may linger into the early Thursday time frame. So the last slide on here is basically a summary sheet, and I'm breaking it down for different sections of our region. At the top there mentions a winter storm warning for the entire region starting late tonight through Wednesday morning. For East Texas and Central Louisiana, we're advertising freezing rain beginning after midnight tonight, transitioning to sleet and snow during the day tomorrow, before tapering off Tuesday evening. The total snow accumulation is 2 to 3 inches with ice accumulations of less than 1/10 of an inch. In southeast Texas and southwest Louisiana, freezing rain should start Tuesday morning and then transition to sleet in the afternoon before turning to snow and ending Tuesday night. So the total snow accumulation for southeast Texas and southwest Louisiana is 1 to 2 inches and the ice accumulations of about 1/4 of an inch. So similar ice accumulation is what we had last week, but higher in terms of the snow totals than last week. The next bullet is for south central Louisiana. We're expecting the freezing rain to begin Tuesday morning, and at some point in the afternoon, it's going to transition to sleet and eventually snow by Tuesday evening and taper off late Tuesday night into early Wednesday morning. So the total snow accumulation over there will also be 1 to 2 inches, but the ice accumulation will be higher with about 1/3 of an inch, which would possibly cause a significant ice storm with extended power outages possible. The last bullet on here, we all went through the storm last week, so I think we're aware of the hazards associated with the elevated roads and bridges, but the travel on those type of situations is going to be very hazardous all across the entire region through Wednesday due to minimal warming temperatures during the day. The question mark is going to be how much warming temperatures we do get Wednesday afternoon, how much of it will melt. If the temperatures don't warm up, the conditions may not improve until mid to late Thursday morning.
Good afternoon. It's 2:50. I want to welcome everybody to the press briefing for the winter storm event. I am Brian Beam, Parish Administrator for the Calcasieu Police Jury, and thank you for coming today. We've got some important information to cover on this event. It's usually when we have these meetings here at the Emergency Operations Center downtown, it's on hurricanes, but on rare events we do have winter weather, and this of course is one of them. It follows last Friday. We all know what we experienced there, and we want to cover, have a few speakers over the next few minutes, cover what to expect the next couple of days, the impacts of the storm, and how you can prepare, and we want to encourage everybody to do just that. We will hear from Andy Patrick with the National Weather Service in a moment, followed by Dick Grimion will come up and cover anticipated impacts from this storm event, and then we'll have a few speakers from State Police, Sheriff's Office, and others on actions taken by public safety agencies at this time and looking ahead. And at the end, we'll have a few comments from our elected officials urging the public to follow some important guidelines. So let's get started with the weather outlook, and I'll ask Andy Patrick with the National Weather Service to come up.
Thank you, Brian. Good afternoon. My name is Andy Patrick with the National Weather Service. Of course, many of you know Roger Erickson, the warning coordination meteorologist. He's doing some briefings for Southeast Texas, Southwest Louisiana, so I'm here. And basically, in a nutshell, we're going to have a winter storm warning in effect beginning tonight. And we're expecting some definitely some very hazardous weather to continue into tomorrow, perhaps into tomorrow night as well. So as far as what we anticipate, this is a pretty messy weather situation. Right now we're anticipating as much as a quarter inch of ice accumulation, with possibly freezing rain starting tomorrow. Then it gets a little iffy as far as sleet and snow when it turns over and so forth. But when it's all said and done, on top of that, we are expecting a potentially 1 to 2 inches of snow on top of that when all is said and done, ending, we think, by tomorrow night. Now, as far as when all this melts off is going to be a key forecast issue for us. We think now we'll get a few degrees, at least a few degrees above freezing on Wednesday. So we're expecting that to continue. But again, it's highly dependent upon cloud cover, much like what happened on Friday. So I think that's just something we're going to be keeping an eye on. But right now, we do think there will at least be some melting during the day Wednesday. And again, this is a very, as far as comparing to the 97 ice storm event, potentially it can. Right now, though, we're forecasting most of the heavier ice amounts east of the area, but we can, sometimes these rain bands can organize a little better over a particular area, and it's not out of the question that we can get some higher amounts than anticipated right in this area. So just something to keep in mind as we go throughout this event. Yeah, absolutely. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Andy. And National Weather Service has been outstanding as usual at keeping the emergency response officials, public officials aware. Very detailed information that allows us all to plan for this event. So thank you. At this point, I'm going to ask our Emergency Management Director, Dick Grimion, to come up, talk about impacts of the storm.
Thanks, Brian. And my comments will include, I think the weather is going to be the same for all of Southwest Louisiana, the other parishes, as well as Southeast Texas. Of course, the recent storm record for us is 1997. If you recall back to the 1997 storm, we had a lot of power outages, and that caused a lot of other issues. So we think people should prepare for power outages. The risk may be not so great as 1997, but it is a possibility. If you have critical functions that require electricity, you need to be thinking about that now. If you have people who are on life support or other things, be making plans for that. One thing that happened last time that we would like to caution people, we had a lot of people calling 911 for information. The 911 is not an information line. We do urge you to use it anytime you have an emergency. But if you need general information, there are published numbers for most agencies that can get you that information. The sheriff, I think, and state police are going to talk in a minute about the importance of staying off the roads. This is going to be traffic accidents turned into the major issue last week, and it will be another major issue if we can't keep people off the road. So our message is stay home if you can. Make sure you take care of your family, your pets, your house, and be prepared for power outages in case those happen. I'm going to introduce James Anderson, and then after James will be Sheriff Mancuso make a few remarks.
Thank you, Dick. Good afternoon. I'm Sergeant James Anderson, Louisiana State Police. You know, this last event that we just had, statewide, we investigated literally hundreds of crashes across our state. And I refer to them as crashes because they're not accidents. They're preventable. If folks would have heeded our warnings and stayed off the roads, we wouldn't have had the problems that we did. We had 5 weather-related fatalities, traffic crashes statewide, 2 of those here in the Troop D area. Our hope this time around is to have 0 deaths, to see nobody get hurt, and we hope that everyone heeds the warning to stay home if at all possible. If you do drive, if you must drive, please reduce your speed. Please ensure that your seatbelt is on, that you're allowing ample space between you and other vehicles. And if you do encounter a skid, that you lift your foot off the accelerator, steer gently into the skid, and don't use your brakes. We're going to be working closely with our partners at DOTD to help keep the roadways open to the extent possible. We had a conference call with them this morning. It was very productive. I will tell you this, the I-210 bridge, once that starts to ice, you can expect to see it closed. We're not going to attempt to keep it open. DOTD is committed to keeping the I-10 corridor open to the best of their ability, as well as US 171 between Moss Bluff and Lake Charles. They will be dedicating the bulk of their resources to keeping those 2 avenues open. And in addition, if they'll work on secondary routes as well, but those will be the priorities. Our State Emergency Operations Center in Baton Rouge is ramped up for Louisiana State Police. We have abundance of resources. We'll be working double shifts. We have troopers from our Bureau of Investigations coming in. We will have additional troopers, but understand, if you get in a crash, if you go around a barricade or do something you shouldn't be doing, you may find yourself waiting a while to get some help. So our best advice, if you can stay home, avoid this weather, please do so. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. With that, I'd like to introduce our sheriff, Sheriff Tony Mancuso.
Thank you, James.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. And as James said, and all the Brian and Dick, you know, this is one of those times where you have to use common sense, and basically that's it. Go today. You have plenty of time now. Go get the resources that you need. If you need extra water, extra milk, if you have a young child, extra formula, extra diapers, do that all today. It would be as if you were planning for, again, a hurricane. The good news here is hopefully it will be very short, the time span that we're going to deal with, but that time span can be very, very dangerous. For our employers in our community, you know, make arrangements with your employees today and tell them what your expectations are. Please, do that today. The problem that we see is they wait kind of till the last minute and everybody panics. And I'm asking you, if you have non-essential workers at your place of employment, tell them today, do like I did. I tell you, I took our non-essential employees and I said, look, you're off, but you're on call. I'm not giving you permission to have the day off and you go run to Walmart and to the grocery store and run errands. I'm giving you this day off. You go home, you take care of your family. If you have kids that are home, you take care of your necessities and your needs that you have, but you also stay by that phone in case we need you and the weather clears up maybe sooner than we anticipated. I want you back at work and want to be able to get in touch with you. But do not come to work. I'm asking you, our employers in our parish, to talk to your employees now and tell them what your expectations are and give them clear instructions of what you need and what you want them to do so that we don't have this confusion. By all means, if you don't have to open your doors and you can tell your employees to stay home, please do that. You know, we have employees, we will have patrolmen, and just like the state will have, we're going to take care of you and we're going to protect our community. But when we have to work the number of crashes and the other aspects of what we have to deal with when people don't listen to these warnings, it affects us. It diverts our resources and what we have to do on a day-to-day basis. So, you know, we're prepared. I know that I've talked to several of our chiefs. We're prepared to call out extra patrols if we need to. We have them on standby. But right now, we don't know what Mother Nature's going to bring us. But we're prepared. I promise you that your public officials, whether it be the city, the state, or your parish officials, we've done this. We know what to do. We need your cooperation. Stay home unless you have to be out. Go do those things that you need to do today. Get what you need supply-wise to make it through a day or two, and we'll take care of the rest. We'll keep our community safe, but you do your part. so that we don't have to add resources, kind of doing things when you didn't do your part by staying indoors. So again, if you don't have to, don't get out in the roadways, stay home. For the employers, communicate with your employees what your expectations of them are. And if you don't need them, please ask them to stay home. I thank you and I appreciate it. Brian, I'll turn it back over to you. Unless anybody has any questions. Is there any questions anybody has?
Thank you, Tony. Very helpful information. This time I want to ask Steve Giles to come up. Steve is the administrator here for the Department of Transportation and Development for the state, located here in Lake Charles, and he has some important information. Steve?
Okay, you saw the state's response last week to our last storm, and since that time I'll let you know of a couple things we're going to do a little different this time, and we have replenished our material supplies that we were worried about last week. We have over 100 tons of bulk salt, over 100 pallets of bag salt. We have let's see, somewhere around 100,000 gallons of ethylene glycol, 500 to 1,000 cubic yards of lightweight aggregate. We think we're fairly well set. We can get more bulk salt from the Avery Island salt mine as we need it throughout the extent of this crisis. Just to let you know a couple of the things that are a little bit different. We realize we have to collapse our priorities, and we hope people will understand that, but we're going to have to focus on our priority routes and keep our focus there, that namely Interstate 10 for the length of this whole district, Highway 171 through the district, and that's primarily up to Moss Bluff, but there's the Ragley overpass on up to DeRitter, the Buxton Creek Bridge is also Highway 165. As we get beyond there, if we can do more, we will do more. We'll focus on Highway 90 and some of the other major arteries. There's a very high likelihood that we'll lose I-210 if we get the predicted amount of ice. 210 is high demand, high maintenance with some 20 different grade separations on I-210, and we just don't know that we can keep 210 open through the course of this crisis, particularly if it goes 2 to 3 days. Another change that we're going to make, we're going to increase our staging areas. Everything is not going to be worked out of our Lake Charles base. We got permission this morning to put bulk salt at the West Calcasieu Arena in Sulphur. From there, we will cover the Ruth Street Overpass, the Sabine River Bridge, down to Ellender Bridge and up to Houston River. And let's see, also PPG Drive, we're going to stage some material there as well. And also we're utilizing our agricultural industry more. You'll see some vehicles out there spreading salt you've never seen before, fertilizer spreaders. We've entered into a number of agreements, lease agreements, rental agreements with these, and some of it will be putting out with their equipment, some of it they'll be putting out. So I feel like with all that, we'll be able to probably, do a little bit better job this time. We'll see. Are there any questions? Okay.
I have one, Steve. Is the DOTD going to put out any press release in the next few hours on these roads that you were mentioning, or is that just all virtual?
We have turned in our priority list. I expect the press release will come from headquarters. Of course, this event is predicted for the whole state, and that's one thing that makes the competition for materials as extreme as it is, because it is the whole state. But just to answer your question, I expect that release would come from Baton Rouge. Okay.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate all your work DOTD does. At this point, I don't know if we have representatives from Entergy and Beauregard Electric, but if we do, and if they'd like to make any comments about their preparations, we'll invite them up. Clyde, is it? Clyde Mitchell on the other side of the room. Well, come on over, Clyde. Electric utilities, for those of you, and most of you in here probably remember 97, that when Andy referenced the ice storm from 97, that of course became the big issue, as we had elongated periods of power outages in some areas. That's why Dick and others have mentioned it's so important to prepare yourselves as if 2 or 3 days of power outage may occur, because they may. But the electric utilities do very good work to restore as quickly as possible. And I want to introduce Clyde Mitchell with Entergy, who can update you on their preparations.
Thank you. We have we mobilized our storm restoration plan. As was stated, these are prediction models. We do anticipate a weather event, and we right now can't tell you what's going to happen. But we are prepared. We have crews mobilized in the area to restore power as quickly and safely as possible. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Clyde. Anyone here from Beauregard Electric? I know Kay Fox, who always does a great job with that. She's pretty tied up in their office, but I think they would give the same comments as Entergy. Okay, at this time, I think we covered the instructions to citizens and so forth. At this point, what I'm going to do is ask Dennis Scott, our police jury president for 2014, to give a few comments. And while he's coming up, we lost Tony. There he is. I'll ask Sheriff Mancuso and the mayors that are present to stand behind them. And certainly any comments you wish to give for your cities and towns, you're welcome to come up, and I'll let Dennis lead off.
On behalf of the Calcasieu Parish Police Jury, we'd like to thank everyone who came in today. You know, it's about keeping our community safe, and everything we do to gather information and put information out is going to continue to do that. We'd like to thank the police jury staff, all of our municipalities, all of our public safety agencies for doing a diligent job on preparing this parish for this situation. You know, I, along with all of the elected officials, want to urge the public to take heed to the precautions that all of our public safety agencies have put out. We're asking you to stay home, have some quality family time, spend a little time making sure your home is safe, check on your neighbors, especially if they're elderly. And as a point of information, we need to just let you know that Waste Management will not be doing their trash routes tomorrow, and the parish offices will be closed tomorrow and Wednesday. So thank you for your time. Mayor Ponche.
Very much similar announcements. I had a meeting this morning with our progressive merchant who take care of our waste products and so forth. They will definitely not be doing trash pickup. So that's, my house is on one of those routes. So we're just going to have to watch very carefully to see when the thaw occurs, and then we'll bring our trash cans to the curb. And to all the students who are attending schools, I know you're just having a rip-roaring good time that we're not going to be having school for the next 2 days, but the town of Iowa is going to be participating in the fact that our city hall is going to be closed Tuesday and Wednesday. So if it's an emergency, our police department is going to be open, but for emergency purposes. Okay, Mayor Roach.
Thank you, Mayor Ponche. And of course, I think everybody here understands a little bit better, perhaps after the experience of last week, about what a little bit of snow and ice can do to a community and how it can adversely affect transportation all through Southwest Louisiana. So that's really why we're here this afternoon, and why these agencies, all of them who have talked to you this afternoon, have come together, because we recognize the risk that we're facing with this next event. So. As Mr. Scott said, Dennis said about asking you to adhere to those precautionary advices, I want to reiterate that myself and encourage you to stay home if you can. We understand that not everybody can. We know that we have some facilities across the river from Lake Charles that have to continue 24 hours of operation, so we understand that as well. And these agencies, the state police and others, are going to be working as best they can to keep those corridors and those accesses open. But again, if you have to travel, you're going to have to be very, very careful in choosing your route, and also in the manner in which you get to where you're going. Allow extra time. If you have to get out and you have to get to a certain location, please allow extra time. And remember what Mr. Anderson just talked to you about how to drive and how to anticipate those situations as you encounter them on the way. Speaking from the standpoint of the City of Lake Charles, we are going to have our administrative offices that we closed on Wednesday and Thursday. The fire department, the police department, of course, are going to be manning their stations as they do in any emergency situation, continued to operate, and our personnel with the Public Works Department will be supporting them as well. So we have certain designated personnel who are supporting them and looking at different areas within the city and try to maintain those areas and to work and perform whatever emergency operations are necessary. We certainly hope that we don't have an ice storm, but our Public Works personnel are manned with the chainsaws and other equipment necessary to move trees and do what's necessary in order to try to support the efforts of the utility companies to move around and restore power. So I think we're very well prepared based on last week. I said Wednesday and Thursday. Thank you. The sheriff corrected me. Tuesday and Wednesday. Tuesday and Wednesday. I know, I am. Tuesday and Wednesday we're closed. Or hopefully we're open on Thursday, okay? But Tuesday and Wednesday, our administrative offices are closed. Thank you, Sheriff. But that's basically it. And as far as garbage and trash pickup, we will not be picking up trash and garbage until Thursday. So Thursday we resume garbage and trash pickup, meaning that what is scheduled for Tuesday is picked up Thursday. Then Thursdays is picked up Friday, and Friday will be picked up Saturday. So that's our schedule in the week ahead, and I hope that everybody stays safe. Thank you very much. And I think I'll turn over to Mr. Duncan.
Thank you. I'd like to ditto everything that was said here. The City of Sulphur's offices will definitely be closed Tuesday and Wednesday also. The trash route, we got an email from Allied Republic earlier today that we know pickup on Tuesday, and there may be pickup on Wednesday depending upon the weather. And we'll let the citizens know a little bit more about that later on. We will not be using our call-out system until either tonight or later on tomorrow. We're allowing this press conference, and newspaper and media put out the word on our closures. We'll have a press release coming out soon. One thing with Clyde is it's very important when you run these generators if we lose power. I mean, these guys are working on the lines. You don't want to backfeed them through the electrical system and put them in harm. So be very cautious with your generators. You know, all the fire departments are well aware of it. You know, don't run the generators indoors. Make sure you got proper ventilation. The main thing here is life safety. We want to make sure that everybody's safe during this manner. Stay off the roads as much as possible. We know that we're on the side of the river with a lot of industries, and the industries have to run 24/7. So leave a little early. Take your time. Slow is okay on the interstate. That is right, Mr. Anderson? Slow is okay. You can go lower than the speed limit that's allowable, which is what, 40, 45, or no minimum during this time? So that'd be good. Remember those overpasses. You never know whether they're iced up or not, so be cautious and slow on that. Mr. Bing?
Thank you, Mayor, and I'll introduce Chief Murray in a moment, but Dennis may have mentioned it, but parish offices as well will be closed Tuesday and Wednesday, and our public works crews, emergency management, facilities, many other departments, as is the case with all of these officials here, are out and about. We certainly are not off, even though offices are closed. This time I'm going to ask Chief Murray with the Lake Charles Fire Department to say a few words.
Everyone that's come up before us has spoken about the safeties of if you were going to be not traveling or if you had to travel. I'm here to talk about being safe if you're going to have to stay at home. We're going to be facing some cold weather that we haven't seen in many years. And under those circumstances, people use good sense in taking out old heaters, space heaters, piling wood into a fireplace that is normally not used that hard, making sure it's clean, making sure the flues are open. Like Mayor Duncan said, you know, be careful when you're using your generators, but not just about putting it inside your house. Don't put it inside of a garage. Don't put it on the side of the house where the wind is going to blow the fumes into the eaves of the house and still cause those kind of problems. Be sure that you use the proper size extension cords. It would be a shame to have a fire caused by that type of usage also. Another one, and last, and a lot of these that we preach this year round, please make sure that you have a functioning smoke detector in each of your bedrooms. Make sure that you have an escape route that you practice annually. In this situation here, make sure go over it tonight. Make sure you know what to do. Make sure once you get outside that you call the fire department from your cell phone or your neighbor's house. Don't do it while you're on the inside. Be sure that everyone meets at the same location, and for God's sakes, no one go back inside the house once you're out. Be sure that you're there to tell us where the missing person is at, so we'll have the best opportunity to get them out. Under those circumstances, if we can do that this evening, I think it's going to be a good event.
Thank you, Chief. That's very good advice, and these unfortunately are common occurrences of space heaters and so forth. So safety is paramount in this winter storm. That wraps up our program for now. We haven't really scheduled a follow-up press briefing for tomorrow. It's sort of hard to tell how hard conditions will be to do this, but we certainly will be in touch through the media, through the Office of Emergency Preparedness here. We will get information out, and for the media here, if there is one scheduled, you get plenty of notice. Otherwise, we will just send out press releases. But we want to thank all of our officials here today that came out. As you can see, the public agencies here are very committed to the public safety, but it really depends on all the citizens doing their part and heeding all the advice that's been given today. So thank you for your time, and we will follow up tomorrow with more information. I'm sorry. Sure, Sergeant.
A couple things I neglected to mention earlier. If you're out on the highways, please look out for slow-moving DOTD trucks. Those men and women are out there working hard to keep the highways safe for all of us. So please be aware that those slow-moving vehicles will be out on the highway. Also, I'd like to echo a theme that Director Grimiall brought up a few minutes ago. We at the State Police were deluged with phone calls throughout this event. Please tune in to your local media. They're doing a great job of getting information out. Also, we recommend that you subscribe to Nixle, N-I-X-L-E. It's a free service, free information. We use it. Lake Charles City Police does an excellent job with theirs, letting you know about road closures and things that are going on. Also, we encourage you to like the Louisiana State Police Facebook page. We're getting a lot of information out on via Facebook as well, so thank you.
Sergeant, I'm glad you mentioned Nixle. I had registered for that last week. Nixle, I think, .com. You do have to register. Very brief. It's free. And you will get regular notices on road closures, bridge closures, things like that. Very, very useful site, so thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming, and we will follow up tomorrow.